What's going on, guys? It's FMLN Radio here with your hosts Colin and Evan, and today we're going to be talking about the Salvadorian Civil War. The background of the revolution is there was a huge wage gap between the rich and the poor, to the point where the top 2% had 95% of the population's wealth. There was a revolutionary cause after anger of the wage gap. The government sent people from the military to kill the people of the revolution. The revolution, called FMLN, fought back. They burned coffee fields and bridges to destroy the income of the government, and after time, they won and everything went back to normal. In today's podcast, we'll have a special guest, Farabundo Martí, who started the Socialist Party with the poor class. Looking long term, the impact of the Civil War was considered negative, considering El Salvador exhausted many of its resources fighting itself. America is moving closer to a civil war. We believe this because in the Salvadorian Civil War, there was a wage gap and divided groups, and they became divided more and more daily until it became to a point where there was a civil war. This is showing in the U.S. because groups are becoming more and more divided, and there's becoming more and more of a wage gap every day, leading to a civil war. The Salvadorian Civil War definitely started with the incubation phase. For example, the economic crisis. There was a huge wage gap between the rich and the poor. Government injustice. The government made promises they couldn't keep, which led to the FMLN to start. Weak rulers, they also are weak because they couldn't keep up their promises and what they said they were going to do. Class antagonism, when there was a division of the groups from the rich and the poor. A good song to represent the incubation stage is Viva la Vida by Coldplay, because the song embodies the nature of revolutions. It also follows the moderate stage. For example, the financial breakdown, when the FMLN burned coffee fields and burned bridges to destroy the government's economy. Symbolic actions, again, burning the coffee fields and the bridges. Role of force, small acts of violence, or the burning of the coffee fields and bridges, and the government suppressed that by killing anybody who was suspected to be in the FMLN. A song that connects to the moderate stage is Prayer of the Refugee by Rise Against, and this connects because in this song it talks about a revolution and the beginning of it and fighting back. Next is a crisis stage. The radicals take control when the FMLN gains power. The war, it was civil. It was a civil war, but the U.S. also helped out. Centralization of power and a strong person in demand. Medardo Gonzalez is the party leader of the FMLN when they had control. A song for the crisis stage is Tupac Changes, because in the song he talks about how changes need to be made and it's time to fight back, which in the same thing with the Salvadorian Civil War. The people who were being treated poorly fought back.
It's time to fight back, that's what Huey said. 2 shots in the dark, now Huey's dead. I got love for my brothers, but we can never go nowhere unless we share with each other. We gotta start making changes. Learn to see me as a brother instead of 2 distant strangers. And that's how it's supposed to be. How can the devil take a brother if he's close to me?
In the recovery stage, the arena won and the FMLN lost, and everything began to go back to normal. In the recovery stage, the song is Bob Marley, Everything's Gonna Be Alright, because it talks about everything being okay, and that's the same with the Civil War because they want everything to go back to normal and be alright again.
Don't worry.
A significant event took place in 1932 as Farabundo Martí was executed, and his face became the face of justice, and he was associated with social justice and independence. He was also then the face of the FMLN group. A song that would represent this situation would be Bob Marley, Get Up, Stand Up, as it's very inspirational and is about standing up for your right and relates to social justice issues.
Get up, stand up for your right. Get up, stand up, don't give up the fight.
Another important event would be the massacre at El Mozote in January in 1981, and the kill count was around 1,000 people, and it was almost the whole population of the town, and people were tortured and killed, including women who were shot and also children who were shot and killed. And this was an eye-opener for the revolution, as it showed the brutality of the military. A song that would connect to this important situation would be Know Your Enemy by Green Day, as it's about finding out who the real enemy is, and this connects as it's when the revolutionary cause realizes that the government is the true enemy and they're the ones who are trying to hurt them. The final significant event would be the peace accords in 1992 signed by both sides, including the Salvadorian government and the rebels FMLN political party. And this was done to stop the war, and the song that would go along correctly with this situation would be Let There Be Peace on Earth by Harry Connick, as it's about true peace and no more war. An important group to this revolution would be the FMLN. They are very important as they are the founders of the revolution, and they are the reason that the Civil War took place. Without the FMLN efforts, there would be no Civil War, and the old government would still be ruling over El Salvador. Another important person would be Medardo Gonzalez, as he commanded the units for the FMLN group, and he was the leader until he signed the peace treaty in 1992, and it was transformed into a political party instead of just a radical group. A song that represents this group and this person would be Skyfall by Adele, as it shows teamwork and people sticking together through the end. And that's what the FMLN did until they were able to gain control of the government.
So, Farabundo Martí, what was your life like?
I was known for leading revolutionary causes throughout my life, and one of the most popular ones would be the Salvadorian Civil War.
So, how did you take part in this civil war?
I was kind of the spark that lit the fire, because my ideas and my radical views on how a society should be run was what caused the poorer class to revolt.
That's going to wrap up this interview. Thank you for your time, Mr. Martí. Okay. short-term effects for the Salvadorian Civil War was economy damage. Some long-term effects are some of the leaders from some of the government officials from the old government are still being prosecuted. A song that represents this is Savior by Rise Against, because it's a government that's willing to repair itself and get back to a stable.
In conclusion, America must learn a lesson from the Salvadorian Civil War and stop the divide that is currently increasing. If the wealth gap continues and extremes are blown out of proportion due to social media and the internet, America won't be far behind the track of civil war. Topics and divided views on subjects in America must be talked about in a respectful and understanding manner, instead of attempting to go even further to the extremes and divide more. That's it for FMLN Radio. This is Colin and Evan signing off.